Thanks for joining us. Today we have on the line some excellent presenters that have great expertise in some of the different facets of farm to school, and we are privileged to have them recording this webinar with us. This spring 2006, we are going to be kicking off some training sessions here pretty soon and traveling across the state of Nebraska, reaching specialty crop growers, which are fruit and vegetable growers, nuts, different types of specialty products that they might be able to work with schools and providing products and education. So we're working with farmers and we're working with school food service staff to increase awareness of how to use these products and how to source them. So this connection brings healthy and fresh food to our schools and a diverse future for our agricultural landscape. Next slide. And with us on the line to start, we have Casey Foster, who is the Ag Promotion Coordinator of the Nebraska Department of Ag. And shortly after he speaks, we'll hear from Sharon Davis, the Director of the Nebraska Department of Education Nutrition Services. So Casey, if you want to kick us off, please.
Sure, and good morning, everybody. The Specialty Crop Block Grant Program is a federally run program that we administer through our office. Every year we allocate about $600,000 to for-profit entities, nonprofit entities, colleges, universities, and local governments, as well as state government, all within the state of Nebraska. This program has been running now for at least 10 years, I want to say, and the Center for Rural Affairs have been an active applicant in this program. We've appreciated the applications that they've submitted through this program to receive some funding to benefit specialty crops. For a long time, I've heard of folks that have been telling me, those being produce growers, of wanting to get their local produce into their local schools. And this has been going on for quite some time now. With the project that the Center for Rural Affairs is now doing and working with the Farm to School program from the USDA, it's finally been the two missing links that's been able to get produce from our growers into the local schools. It also enables students to work with the produce themselves. If they learn how to grow the produce, if they can learn how to understand how they're grown and what they're to be used for, it excites them. It increases their consumption of fruits and vegetables as well. So we appreciate the Center for Rural Affairs working on this Farm to School program. From the Department of Agriculture, we fully support this project, and we're excited to see the outcomes and results as this program moves forward. So again, welcome everybody, and thanks for this opportunity to say hello.
Thanks, Casey. We really appreciate it. All right, let's move into Sharon Davis. Please go ahead and just share a few words with us, Sharon.
Thanks, Sarah. When I was asked to provide a picture for this introductory segment, I knew immediately which picture I wanted to include. And while the cabbage that you saw in the picture was not from my garden, it was actually grown in Palmer, Alaska, where they're known for growing huge vegetables like this cabbage. But the cabbage reminded me of the Farm to School program here in Nebraska. First, it's really the growth that we've seen of Farm to School in so many of our Nebraska districts. Just as the cabbage has grown to this huge size, so has our Farm to School movement in Nebraska. We're seeing school gardens, greenhouses. Schools are conducting farm tours and doing taste testings of locally produced items that have been grown thanks to the efforts of nutrition professionals like many of you that are attending the conference. Second, it's the knowledge that students are gaining about where their food comes from, whether it's grown in dirt or fed on the ranch. Students are learning more and more about where their food comes from. Connecting this information to classroom instruction and involving your teachers truly enhances the Farm to School experience for Nebraska students every day. Third is the exposure to new foods through tasting, farm visits, and school gardens. Even though I'd never seen a cabbage quite this large and we can't all travel to Alaska to view it, we can expose our students to the vast array of fruits, vegetables, dairy, and meat products that are grown and raised locally. The Department of Education wants to hear about your farm to school efforts and share your success stories with others in the state. So I encourage you to share pictures and stories, and I look forward to any opportunity to attend your local events. So on behalf of the Nebraska Department of Education Nutrition Services, I want to thank you for creating the farm to school experience for every student every day in your district. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the conference.
Thank you, Sharon. Thanks, Casey. Thanks to both of you. Without the support of the Department of Ag and the Department of Education, we would not be able to do the work that we're doing on the ground with schools and with food producers. So your support is excellent. We're going to transition over now. We have a USDA Farm to School representative with us, Bob Gorman. He works with us often on farm to school efforts in our state and does excellent work on education and informing and sharing good news. So he's going to walk us through some slides of what's going on nationally with farm to school. So Bob, I'll let you introduce yourself and take it away. Bob, we're not hearing you. Do you have your phone muted?
Thank you, Sarah. And again, thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Casey, for joining us today. It's so important that all these pieces start working together, and Nebraska really is a leader in our region. Again, I'm Bob Gorman. I'm the Farm to School Regional Lead for the Mountain Plains region. And I really want to talk to everybody about why farm to school is important. Everybody knows that farm to school helps the local economy, supports the local farmers, brings the community together. But I always like to say it's the best way for food service directors to market their program. No parent is going to complain that their child is eating more fresh fruits and vegetables. Producers, you too, farm to school is great for you as there's another revenue source for you. You're providing food for your local community. And probably most important to you is you're building your next generation of customers. Now, whenever I talk about farm to school, I always talk about carrots, not just because it's my favorite vegetable, but it's something you see in school cafeterias all the time. And while I'm not here to smash the orange little stubby carrots that are often served in cafeteria programs, I'm here to talk about just the example of what a fresh local carrot tastes like compared to those small little stubby orange carrots. When was the last time you had a fresh carrot that still had a top on it that you just washed off really good and started eating? Fresh local carrots are so sweet, and that's all about what farm to school is. It's about good local foods. It's also about the education for kids. If you were to ask your students what a carrot is out of these two pictures, I can guarantee you most of them would say the one on the left, the orange little stubby carrots. Even if these carrots in the basket were all orange, I bet you still most kids would identify carrots as these orange little small ones. Now there's four basic parts of farm to school, and they're all very important. And food service directors, I really suggest you start with at least one of these pieces. And the first part is the experiential education part of it. It's getting the kids out to the school farms. It's the hands-on experience. It's seeing how a cantaloupe plant is planted. It's bringing the food or bringing the farmer into the cafeteria the day his sweet corn is being served. It's about that farmer talking to the kids about the importance of sweet corn, how it's healthy for you. It's getting kids excited about where their food comes from. Farmers, you guys could be role models for kids. Kids get so excited just to talk to a farmer. Another main piece of farm to school is school gardens. This teaches kids, again, how to get their hands dirty, but school gardens teach kids how a plant is grown, how to plant a seed, how to nurture that plant, how to pick that green bean. And then what we're seeing is amazing stuff, like not only is the child going to try that green bean, but he or she's going to like that green bean. And then when you serve that fresh local green bean in the school cafeteria, there's a connection there where the child will select the green bean, and it all sort of just comes full circle. So school gardens are a very important piece of this farm to school program. Then of course there's also classroom education. All right, this could be anything from as simple as a kindergarten class crack opening a couple pea pods and counting how many peas are in that pod, to a high school classroom learning about different aquaponic, hydroponic systems and different fertilizers and different light systems and what will create the greatest yield of a tomato plant. All right, classroom education, again, it's that making that connection with kids where their food comes from. And then lastly, and where I think both producers and food service directors have a great connection here, is procurement. It's about getting the local foods from your farm into your school's cafeteria. All right? So again, I really suggest you start with one of these pieces, and you're going to build off of them every year. Maybe one year you just bring in a couple local items. Maybe the second year you start bringing in more local items, but then build on a school garden. Okay? Don't get stagnant. Continue improving this farm to school program that your school has. Now my next couple slides, I just want to show you what can be served, some ideas, hopefully spark some interest. This is a photo of a school lunch tray from a Georgia school district. They got local catfish, brown rice, local broccoli, local milk, and a local apple all in this tray. And I think we all have to admit this tray looks rather delicious. And again, yes, I understand you may not be able to get local catfish in Nebraska, but can you get local broccoli? Can you get local milk? Here's another one. On this tray, we got local chicken, local apple, local peppers, local cherry tomatoes. Oh my gosh, if you could see how fast kids devour cherry tomatoes off of a salad bar, you would be shocked. But also on this tray is local lentils. And I could just see some of you food service directors out there now cringing. Oh, my kids won't eat lentils. They won't eat them. They don't like them. Well, you know what? Chances are they've never had them. And I think you'd be shocked that if there was a connection with the local farmer, or the local farmer came in and when these lentils were being served, I bet you they would try them, and I bet you a lot of them would like them. This is what farm to school is really about. Here's some local pizza. On this pizza, it's a frozen whole grain dough, but then on it is local tomatoes, local cheese. Here's another pizza. I love pizza, and parents always complain about it. But you look at this pizza. This pizza comes from a suburb of St. Louis. On it is broccoli, local onions, local tomato sauce, and then also there is peppers and garlic from the school garden. I visited this school the day this pizza was served, and it was just crazy. They were also serving pepperoni pizza, a cheese pizza, and like a chicken hot sauce type pizza, and the first pizza to run out was actually the vegetable. And again, you're thinking, my kids won't eat broccoli on the pizza. But I'm telling you, when you have these four pieces of the puzzle put together, kids are exposed to these local foods from youngins all the way through their high school careers. You will see them eat things that you wouldn't think they would, like onions and mushrooms. Here's another local plate. This is from a small rural town in Colorado, Yankee Pot Roast. How often do you see that on a school lunch menu? That's using local beef. Also on here, we got a local apple, local yellow pepper, cucumber, romaine lettuce, and carrots, and of course, local milk. Kids tore this up. Another delicious meal. Farm to School is really working, and the proof is sort of in the numbers. This March, we will be fully releasing our 2015 Farm to School census, and compared to 2013, we now have almost $600 million in schools investing their money into local foods. That's an increase of over $200 million from 2013. Farm to School is working. Now this slide's a little small and I do apologize, but this just shows the top Farm to School common activities for food service directors or schools, all right? So of those participating in Farm to School, 78% of you are bringing in local foods. 58% of you have edible school gardens, bringing that school garden produce into the cafeteria, promoting their local foods. Only 38%, and one thing I really would like to encourage you food service directors out there is when you start serving local foods, promote it. Then of course, taste tests. A lot of school districts are offering taste tests to their local foods, let it be lentils or yellow peppers. We really highly encourage taste tests. Now with our census, we also were able to find out some of the top challenges of districts not planning to start Farm to School. And some of these I find kind of interesting. 40% aren't starting Farm to School because it's hard to find year-round availability of items. Another big issue is local items not available from primary vendors. There's this myth about higher prices of local foods. Then, of course, hard to find new suppliers, growers, distributors. All right? And I'm here to tell you that all these questions, all these issues, during your conference today, don't leave without finding answers. If you have any of these issues or problems, don't leave until you found the answer that you needed. It's hard to find year-round availability of items. Yes, I'm sure in December it's hard to find fresh local broccoli in Nebraska. All right, so in December, don't serve it. Serve it in August, during the fall when school opens up. Maybe the last couple weeks of your summer program. If your local items aren't available from your primary vendors, maybe they are, you just don't know about it. Maybe your primary vendor isn't labeling that he's selling local produce. With them, if they're not labeling it, encourage them to label their local produce. You know, and then there's the higher prices. Yes, sometimes local foods can be more expensive, but other times, I think you'd be shocked, they're not. So again, whatever your reason is, whatever that barrier is for you not to participate in Farm to School, please, before you leave today, find out the answer that you need to encourage you to get going. Now, something else that we found out from our farm to school census is some of the high marks of farm to school. Some of the preliminary results that we are receiving from the census show that 75 of respondents that are engaged in farm to school activities experience at least one of these activities. Less food waste. When you have farm to school programs and you're serving local foods that taste delicious, kids aren't going to throw it away. Kids aren't throwing away those local apples, those fresh local carrots. Lower cost. Food service directors are seeing that their food costs are lower. When you're buying local goods, generally you're going to be purchasing them at the peak of ripeness, when there's a bounty of foods, of local foods available. All right, you're purchasing them. This food is traveling just a few miles. It's not driving thousands of miles from Texas or California. Food costs are lower sometimes for local items. And then it's amazing too, when school foods taste better, kids eat it. Kids come in, they're excited. Participation increases when you serve local foods. And here's just another example of farm to school. A bunch of kids in a school garden picking fresh herbs. All right? And what's interesting about this is these kids probably know more about these herbs than we do, but also when you start cooking with these fresh herbs, kids are experienced with the flavor. All right? And again, if you're able to use it from the school garden, they're going to be so excited to have the opportunity to eat this food that you cooked, that came from the garden, that they helped planted or picked. Here's another picture. I love this picture. You could just feel the curiosity of these two students. What are they doing? Are they counting the seeds? Are they pointing out a curious bug? Or are they just discovering a cool looking rock? Farm to school gets kids interested in where their food comes from. It gets them thinking in a different way. Now, another misconception about farm to school is that it's just about lunch. And yeah, lunch is a great opportunity for producers and food service directors to work together and serve and those local food items. But local foods can be served for breakfast. You could serve local yogurt, local eggs, snack programs, dinner programs, summer feeding. You want to improve participation in your summer feeding program? Try serving local foods. And then, of course, there's the fresh fruit and vegetable program. So farm to school isn't just for lunch. It can be served during all meals. Now, I do want to talk briefly about defining local. And often there's a huge question about what is local. And one of the best things the USDA has not done was define local. We leave defining local up to the food service director. All right? The food service director can define local within a certain mile radius, by a county, within a state, or even within a region. It is totally up to him or her. They could also define local depending on the season. All right? If it's just the beginning of, I don't know, carrot harvesting season, and there's only a couple producers that are harvesting carrots at a certain time of year, that food service director can say, okay, I just want local carrots within the state. But then once the season really starts rocking and the local farmer 10 miles down the road starts producing, maybe then the food service director would like to open up and define local as within the county. All right. You could also define local by special events. If you're serving local apples and you define local for just your apples of within the state, if you're having a special event and you want to invite your local apple orchards, farmers, or producers into the school cafeterias, maybe then you just do it within a certain mile radius. The food service director has total control of defining local, and we highly suggest you take advantage of it. All right. Something else is you want to figure out what's produced in your area. All right. Yes, I understand there's not a ton of apples grown in Nebraska, but what is? What can your menu look like? What can your fall menu look like compared to your summer menu, compared to your winter menu using local foods? Maybe you could use local beef in the winter time, but in the summer programs and during the fall, you concentrate on your local produce. Maybe in the middle of February, you concentrate just on local dairy items like yogurt and cottage cheese. All right, but it's really important you find out what's produced in your local area, and there's a lot of resources out there, including many of them in the room today, that can help you find them. All right, again, I want to bring up school gardens again, and one of the great things about school gardens is how they help bring the community together. And often when I talk about school gardens, a lot of food service directors get really scared because they think that they have to, man up the garden and do all the weeding and watering. No, school gardens are a community effort. When you try to get the community interested, work with local extensions, your nonprofits, local businesses. They love to donate. Local businesses love to donate supplies to school gardens. Work with your Department of Ag. Work with parents. Many parents love to garden. You may even find a master gardener within the school that could, really help get the school garden going. Local restaurants. Restaurants are great because they could help train your staff on, how to cook a beet or how to prepare a beet, or just any other kind of thing that you may be growing in your school garden that you may not be familiar with. And then, of course, teachers are really important. Bring in the teachers. Bring in the teachers for the education piece. This is not just a you thing. And then again, this picture, I love this picture too. And it's just like, just take a step back and look at this girl eating this watermelon. This is a fresh local watermelon, and you could just tell how delicious it tastes, how excited she is. And this is during a summer program, and again, getting kids excited about healthy foods that are being served in your program. That's what it's all about. You can't get a better marketing program for your school than a good farm to school program. Now, with that being said, all right, for the last 10 minutes or so, I've talked about, how great farm to school is, but farm to school is hard. It is hard work. All right, you are going to have to roll up your sleeves. You're going to have to get a planning committee to go in to start a school garden. You're going to have to be committed to change. All right, you can't just walk in and drop 20 pounds of fresh beets into your cafeteria when your kids have never seen them, your employees have never seen a beet or cooked a beet. All right, you're going to have to commit to this change. Producers, it's hard work for you too. All right, and it's, again, change for you. all right? Schools can't pay you tomorrow or on the spot. You know, sometimes you most likely are going to see that you're going to be invoiced every 30, 60, or 90 days. Maybe there's going to be odd delivery requests. Schools may want the food delivered at, you know, a central warehouse at 6 a.m. Maybe they're going to want deliveries to 4 different schools between 7 and 9 a.m. You just never know. But be open and work together. Farm to school takes a team effort. Food service directors, be creative. All right. I know sometimes local foods can be more expensive, but often, as I stated earlier, they are cheaper. Okay. Work them in within your menu cycle. Maybe you want to serve local beef. Maybe you serve it just once a month. All right. Maybe instead of serving a hamburger patty on your, you know, a fresh local hamburger patty, maybe you're serving fresh local ground beef in your tacos and you're stretching it out with black beans. Be creative when it comes to your farm to school recipes. All right. I also understand that it's going to be tough on your personnel. All right. They're used to, you know, a lot of heat and serve items, and now you're asking them to cut 10 pounds of onions. That's going to be tough to do. All right. But there's resources out there to help you with, you know, the cost of training, of recipe development, you know, to getting your staff bought in. All right. Whatever problem you see, we can help. Facilities and equipment. I understand a lot of your kitchens aren't huge, has old equipment, may not even have any equipment. All right. But again, there's resources out there. There are so many grants available that you can use to purchase new equipment. And I think I just want to wrap it up by saying, Farm to School, it is a huge program, but start with one of those 4 pieces I was talking about. The school gardens, the local procurement, the expert education, or the classroom ag. So start with one of those pieces and build off of it every year. Don't get stagnant, ask for help, and don't forget, Farm to School isn't just a you program, it's a we program. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for kicking us off this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, I think I have to close the webinar to quit recording it, so I can edit out the very end though and cut this off. It's not a problem. So you did great. Thank you, Bob. You were really prepared. You flowed really well. So I think that was perfect.
Good. And is it just you and I on the line now?
I'm not sure, Casey, are you there?
Casey,
still?
I'm still here. I just wanted to listen in because I've heard about Farm to School, but I learn every time I hear Bob talk, so I enjoyed the talk.
Awesome.
That.
Oh, good. And Casey and Sarah, I really, and even I wish Sharon was still on the line. I am so proud of, you know, the movement that Nebraska is doing, and I am, one of the things I really have been trying to do is get all these organizations to work together. And, you know, honestly, I don't think I have ever, this is the first time I've ever done a webinar or a conference where I've had the Department of Ag, Ed, the USDA, and some